Hello Terraria and enthusiasts, my name is James and welcome back to the Calamity mod. So in today's episode, we definitely owe DOGG a bit of a rematch, but if we don't get around to that, that's because I actually have something else in mind, because I think it's time to slow things down a little bit and check out the Abyss, because in every single series that I do, I neglect the Abyss. Pretty much every time I have to actually go there, I forget to go there. I'm like, hey, is it after Skeletron? It's already after Skeletron. I'm like, hey, when do I need to go get this? Oh, you already needed to go get it. I'm pretty bad at that kind of thing. So in today's episode, we are off to the Abyss to go and get ourselves a brand new weapon called the Valediction. This is actually recommended by you guys at home, and I really appreciate that. So to actually go there, what I've done is I have moved the temple teleporter from our base to the Abyss so that we can just quickly teleport there whenever we fancy, and I thought that was really cool. Now, before we get into that, I accidentally recorded the start of this episode, and it got corrupted. So I guess I didn't really accidentally do anything. It got corrupted. That part was an accident. And in that part, I actually ended up making some new armor. So I finished off the Bloodstone armor, and it's really good. It's not bad. It gives us a little bit extra defense, maybe like 6 or 7 points. And in terms of damage, it's like 2 or 3 points. But it has a very cool feature. Now, if you're wondering what I'm doing, I'm currently rebuying all my potions because I can't find the Combi Man, and I do need potions. So let me just quickly buy all of these, because I'm going to need a good few of them. But it has this really cool extra feature, this armor, though. I'll show you it in 1 second. Let me just buy all of this. This takes time. I'm just quickly going through it. We'll be alright. I'm pretty sure I got my NPCs killed by the DOGG. I'm so certain of that. Is that enough? That's probably enough, right? Have I got shine? Let's get some shine. Let's get some night owl in this. Okay, we're good. Right. Here's the special feature. You ready? Boom! That's cool, right? There's a 30-second cooldown on that. But it's pretty sick, right? It's pretty good. I like it. I've already been down there today, by the way, and I got myself a Squiddy Diddy, and I like him. He's cool. And by down there, I've been to the Abyss. So I wanted to do some building today because I said that I would. Now, truthfully, I don't really have time. But it's because I actually ended up, I was traveling home today, but I ended up kind of going over my time that I allow myself to go home because I was meeting up with somebody else, and that was really good. But I told you all yesterday that I'm actually having a friend come over, and he came over, and it was really good. And having him over reminded me of a story I thought you guys might like, he might enjoy, I'm not too sure. So basically, last night, he was round for the first time in a very long time because he actually lives the other side of Britain most of the time. And, well, we were trying out VR because I have a few different types of VR, and, you know, I'm a big enthusiast of it. And I always say this to everyone. Everyone that asks me if they should buy VR, I say no, not really. But one of the best parts about owning it is just watching other people try it out. Because it's pretty amazing. Like, people's reactions the very first time are unmatched to a lot of things, right, in life. And I just got the weapon that I wanted straight away. Wow. Here we go, by the way. This is what it looks like. It's a throwing weapon. It's very sick. You're like, what does it look like, James? I don't know, because it's so dark. But anyway, he was checking out this VR, and it reminded me of this other story, which is essentially one of the most, like, awkward moments that I've had to deal with in life. Well, I say awkward. I don't know. You can judge. So, essentially, when I went to Christmas for Christmas dinner, like 2 years ago, I was at my sister's because I always eat Christmas dinner at my sister's. And she has her extended family because she's married. And one of these extended family members showed up in a wheelchair because they'd had some kind of, like, minor injury on their leg. But they needed a full wheelchair, essentially. And I had the VR set with me because it was when it had just come out. And my sister really enjoyed it. And she was like, cool, bring it for the kids. We'll stick, like, you know, all the older people on it. They'll really like it. But anyway, this woman shows up with this wheelchair. And she goes, yeah, I want to go. I want to go on VR. And I'm like, well, the thing with VR is that you need to move around. Because VR can be a very stationary thing. but I didn't have anything like that because these games that were very stationary weren't out yet. The games were like Job Simulator, you know, Oculus thingy madoodle. Yeah, it was hard to kind of explain to somebody, but but what she was like is like, well, all right then, cool. So what I want you to do is boot up the VR, stick it on my head, and you can push me around while I'm in VR. So I had to spend like half an hour pushing this poor woman around in this wheelchair to try and give her the full VR experience that she was pretty excited to have. And she was ace about it, don't get me wrong. But she was like, okay, like trying to like, you know, trying to give me directions like, all right, push me over to the desk on the right. And I'd be like, oh, okay. And I'd push her and I'd push her a little bit too far. And she'd be like, oh, no, I'm inside the desk now. And it just went on for so long. And I remember thinking, right, I think it's time to put the VR away for now. I'm all right. Okay, the valediction. So it's a throwing weapon. I don't believe it can be reforged. I will double check that though. Have I got a goblin tinkerer? All my NPCs are dead. They are. They're just a goner. Let's double check. Can you reforge it? Okay, you can. Unpleasant. I don't actually know what's the best for throwing. Godly? Yeah, sure. Because a lot of you noticed yesterday I was using some kind of a piercing device to pierce the little destroyer of thoughts or whatever that is. And yeah, so this is going to be a little bit better. Right, this is going to be my my live attempt at the DOGG. We'll check it out. Right. Let me think. I was trying to think of what I want to say about this. So I did do a little bit of research about it. It does work differently than how I remember it. For example, there are moments where you turn around during the fight, whereas in previous fights you wouldn't turn around. So like this is still the same. Like it's ahead of me. I'm basically going, you know, ahead of it and shooting it in the head. That's all normal. But it's when it goes upwards, you're meant to like turn it around rather than, okay, this is what I want to use it on. There we go. Nice. That worked out really well. Yeah, it's these points here where it turns around that I'm very unsure on how to actually approach this fight. Okay. Right, let's keep this going. Keep this going. So somebody was linking me, by the way, to the, because I said yesterday about the lore of the fight, about why does the little minions show up and that. And I said it makes no sense because they show up even though you've defeated them. That's the point I was trying to make. Not like, oh, they show up and I don't understand why they show up. It was like, well, you've already defeated them. But I guess, you know, things respawn, I guess, in the grand scheme of things. In some games. Right, so pretty dreadful attempt at turning it around there. I could have easily lost that. Right, so now I have to go through all of these. So I'm going to cut this out real quick and we'll go to the main DOG. Okay, here's DOG. Oh. Oh, man. I tell you what, I feel like they need to, like, tone this fight down a little bit for a vengeance. I tell you what what I think needs to be toned down a little bit, just like, my balancing perspective. So, I feel like the new laser thing, you know, obviously where you have to, like, double dash through them. I think it was better before when it was, like, a single laser, and you double dash through them like this. So, essentially, it made you keep a nice rhythm. Now it's double dash, big space, little dash, and then maybe a double dash down here. There's no consistency, and I don't really like that. And then the other thing is that the flamethrower is a bit too aggressive now. I know that they really wanted to buff the flamethrower at one point, and I feel like it's kind of gone to a bit of a bad state. I'm not going to lie, because, I don't know, I just feel like it's a bit of a mad one for a vengeance mode fight. That seems more like a death mode change, if I'm being completely honest. But, yeah, well, there we go. Right, so I've been fighting the boss now for 2 days, IRL. I've put in quite a lot of hours, and I have to say, please, Calamity, please, listen to reason with me here. The lasers need to go back to the way they were before. This new, like, randomized system of, okay, sometimes it's going to be a single line, sometimes it's going to be a double line, and having them just alternate these different levels is very frustrating, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I feel like it takes out a lot of the rhythm of the fight, and I feel like DOG has always been about the rhythm. You go down a layer, you shoot it, you notice it turning up a layer. It's kind of like playing Tap Tap Revenge in a way. You just know what's gonna happen based on its movement, and with this new laser phase, it really just doesn't work, if I'm being completely honest. Go back to the single dash thing. I feel like some of the other changes in the fight are really good, but the way lines work now, just it's really underwhelming. Like, the majority of my deaths are always during that laser phase, and I get it, sometimes you're meant to dash, sometimes you're not, sometimes you're not meant, I don't know. Like, there is, like, I looked back on some of the footage, and there is no real pattern to it, and that's what I'm not the biggest fan of. And then also, fighting all of the sentinels, wow. So I feel like that's a really great thing when you're doing it for the very first time, because it extends the fight, it's got a lot of tone shifting. I like it, because you got the smaller DOG, you do the sentinels, and then the music changes, you know, stuff's changing in the background. I think it's great for the first time that you do it, but when you're refighting DOG to get better at it, it just drags the fight out a little too long. And it's crazy because it reminds you that when you're doing all three in a row, it reminds you just how overpowered Cygnus is compared to the other two bosses. The other two bosses go down like, but Cygnus just goes on forever. So they're my thoughts. I'm a little bit, I'm a little bit knackered from that. So yeah, I didn't release today's episode yesterday because I got halfway through the episode and I thought, no, I can't release this at this point. I need to put in more hours to get to a point where I can confidently review the fight. And I feel like I've gotten to it. So I will end today's episode off there, guys. I know it's going to be a short one, which is unfortunate. But what I'll do is I will just keep playing and playing and playing and researching. And hopefully the Calamity team maybe agree with me, maybe not. I was looking at a video from Leviathan when he fought it a couple of months ago. And I really liked that edition that he fought, where it was essentially the exact same fight, but they didn't change the lines, and I feel like they've added a more aggressive flamethrower to it now, and I can get over that. I actually can, because if you do the pattern the right way, you know, you can get pretty far in the fight, but it's those lines. I feel like they've got to go. Right, anyway, hope you've all been well. I apologize for not posting and not keeping you up to date, but, you know, I just want to make sure today's episode at least had a good amount of effort put into it in terms of actual hours going into it. We're at the end now. We are getting close to the end, and this is what happens close to the end. So yeah, right, thank you all for watching, guys. I will see you tomorrow. Peace.